From the National Newsroom of the Canadian Press, I'm Rob Westgate. Prime Minister Mark Carney is in Europe, Rome, Italy to be exact, for Sunday's inauguration of Pope Leo XIV. He was greeted this morning on the tarmac by Canadian Ambassador to Italy, Elisa Goldberg, Canada's Ambassador to the Holy See, Joyce Napier, as well as other officials from the Italian government and the Holy See. Today, Carney is expected to meet with Italian leadership, including Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni and President Sergio Mattarella. Former Conservative leader Aaron O'Toole says there are good signs emerging now that the U.S. is reaching bilateral trade deals with the U.K. and China. O'Toole spoke with reporters on the sidelines of this week's B7 Summit of Business Leaders, a partner conference to next month's G7 Summit, which is being held in Alberta. He says he sees unity between many European G7 members and Japan to make sure the U.S. understands that it has benefited from global trade in the intangibles economy, such as Hollywood films or artificial intelligence. Earlier this year, CBC was facing the prospect of being defunded by a Conservative government, but then the political fortunes swung to the Liberals, giving the public broadcaster a reprieve.
So what's next? The Liberals have proposed changes to the CBC, but the minority government may have a potentially short runway to actually implement them. The Liberals want to make CBC funding statutory. That means it would be harder for future governments to eliminate it. The platform also promised an initial $150 million increase in annual funding. They also want to make changes to the public broadcaster's mandate. That includes a new governance plan, strengthening local news, and combating disinformation. Anya Cottadeglia, Canadian Press, Ottawa.
Over on the East Coast, RCMP say renewed air and ground searches will take place today for 2 Nova Scotia children reported missing over 2 weeks ago. The Mounties say teams will focus on specific areas around the road in Lansdowne Station, where the home of 6-year-old Lily Sullivan and 4-year-old Jack Sullivan is located. A search that began on May 2nd was scaled back the following week, as police said there was little chance that the children could have survived so long in the heavily wooded area. And finally, there's a bunch of new stuff to put on your weekend watch list.
Death is coming for us because we were never supposed to exist.
The horror franchise returns to theaters after a decade-plus absence. Star Caitlin Santawana tells ABC News the special effects mean this isn't for the weak of stomach.
The question of how did you make this work with all the limbs flying everywhere? It's so much easier when there are literally limbs flying everywhere. I mean, and a lot of it was practical.
Meanwhile, over on Prime Video, Charlie XCX is the executive producer on a new comedy series called Overcompensating, and Apple TV Plus has Murderbot.
It calls itself Murderbot. How's private? It's a killing machine.
A sci-fi action comedy starring Alexander Skarsgård as a rogue security robot. Mike Dubusky, ABC News.
This is the Canadian Press. In sports, Austin Matthews broke a scoreless tie in the third period, lifting the Toronto Maple Leafs up and over the Florida Panthers 2-0, tying the Eastern Conference semifinal series at 3 games apiece and setting up a Game 7 Sunday night in Toronto. The winner will take on Carolina in the East Final. Still on the ice and still in playoff mode, the Ottawa Charge are going to the Walter Cup final to play for the Professional Women's Hockey League Championship. Emily Clark's third period goal proved to be the winner as Ottawa edged the Montreal Victoire 2-1. The Charge won the best-of-5 semifinal series 3-1. Ottawa will now face the defending champion Minnesota Frost starting Tuesday in the nation's capital. And finally, in Major League Baseball action, Dalton Varsho drove in 2 runs with his 6th homer of the year. However, it just wasn't enough as the Toronto Blue Jays fell to the Detroit Tigers 5-4. From the Canadian Press, I'm Rob Westgate.
Thanks for listening. Don't forget to follow and subscribe. For more of today's top stories, visit thecanadianpressnews.ca.